tell you. A little fun, though. So here we go. I actually remember doing Welcome to the Logic School with this group because I was in this hallway. Our office was in this hallway, and so got to see the sixth graders all the time. And then you had previously Miss Macedo as your teacher, so I even got more connected with you before you came to me. So I remember doing this with you then. And it was such an exciting time, but I'm even more excited. Just like I was for you to move out of grammar school logic, I am even more excited for you to get to the rhetoric school, because that's the best. That's where we culminate everything, and we just really get everything out of you guys. You get everything out of us. We have 4 years together versus 2, and so many exciting things to look forward to. So parents, you'll notice I'm speaking to them, because this is really about them. This meeting today, we just invited you so you can kind of watch, but this is really for them. At this point, this becomes their thing. We include you, we partner with you, but you all are heading into rhetoric school. So we really want this to be about you. So you're going to hear from our department chairs. You're going to hear from fine arts director. You're going to hear from our athletic director. You're going to hear a little bit about the Italy trip. And you're going to hear from the house captains. The house captains are actually going to even do a little Q&A with you. That's actually one of the most important things. So my teachers even know that they're going to talk less so that we can get to that part. And we also we're so excited, this is the first year we've done this, is our runner-up in the oratory contest, Katie Robertson, is going to be giving her speech to us today, and it's fabulous. Super excited for you guys to see what you have to look forward to be able to do, and really excited for you guys to see it. It's excellent. So I'm going to go ahead, and we're going to call up our first department chair, Dr. Mark Phillips of our Theology and Science Department, and he's going to give you a little nugget about that department.
Yes. Greetings. I have bronchitis. I'll be speaking with you tomorrow, so I'm saving my voice because I'm also doing chapel later today. But in spite of this, I'm very, very excited for you, excited to see you. You're getting ready to start an amazing journey. I want you to know that. In the Theology and Science Department, you are going to learn all about the design of the universe, the design of chemistry, the design of physics, the design of life, the informational systems of life. You're going to realize that science supports the existence of God. That's why we call it the Theology and Science Department. And by the time you graduate Trinity, you will have no doubt, unless you're being foolish, you'll have no doubt that science does support the God of the Bible. And I'm very excited to be a part of that, to be a part of your lives. And I hope you're really looking forward to a great journey. Next year, you will be studying biology, learning all about life systems, the computer programming of DNA, thus pointing to a programmer, God, which I'll be speaking to you about tomorrow in chapel. And then in your sophomore year, you'll do chemistry and see the amazing mass ratios and how God designed everything on the atomic and subatomic level to be perfectly working to allow life here on Earth. And then we offer more AP courses here than anybody else around, and so you start having choices your junior year. You've got AP chemistry, AP biology, you've got dual credit anatomy physiology. Later on you'll have AP physics and AP environmental sciences. I'm also excited to announce that we're bringing on a new faculty member here, another PhD, Dr. Matt Engel, and so we are really strengthening the tone and presentation of what we're doing here. So you guys are getting ready for an amazing journey, so buckle up and you buckle down. It's going to be great. You're going to love it. You're going to be very excited to come in here and show up at Trinity every day and learn about the divine Creator's hand throughout all of nature. So welcome. Glad to have you. Miss Carty? Oh, here she comes. Yes, clap for Miss Carty.
Thank you. Good morning. So you've mastered the math market, right? And you've mastered the quadratic formula. So what could possibly be next for you from math? Well, my dear friends, we have lots and lots of math muscle building to do and to accomplish. So, have you ever heard of the great Yale University riots of 1830? Books were burned, students rioted, but not about war or social injustice, nor about class sizes or bad cafeteria food. Rather, they protested the study of the oldest math book in the world, an ancient Greek geometry text. In rhetoric school, you will tread the well-worn path through that ancient geometry text. And like millions of students before you, your mental discipline will develop through its study. This 2,000-year-old text will hone your ability to logically seek and determine truth. And you will experience an entire new world built on just 3 rules, a few common notions, and some definitions. Algebra 1 and Algebra 2 bring together mathematics and the philosophy during the Renaissance period, where observed patterns in nature are described by mathematical models. The students at Yale University also rioted over this topic, protesting the study of yet another ancient text. But before you dismay, remember, you are students of Trinity, so you all have the opportunity to take a pre-calculus or calculus capstone course in your senior year that weaves together all the math disciplines you will learn, including the ancient Greek texts. For some of you, you will fulfill your college math requirement before even setting foot on your university campus by choosing to survey introductory statistics or pre-calculus for college credit. And still some may choose to travel the calculus road and step up to the challenge of advanced placement calculus tests. Remember, though, your purpose in mathematics is not finding the practical applications of math or memorizing an algorithmic process to reach the correct solution. Rather, you use math to be more human. Math is designed to manifest the glory of our Creator, placing us in a posture of humble humanness. Therefore, we leverage math to exercise virtues of humility, perseverance, prudence, and courage, while learning to use the language with which God created the universe. Now, like the students of Yale University, your rhetoric school math journey may be filled with emotion and hard work. But unlike the students at Yale, your journey here is at Trinity in an environment that fosters and values hard work for the fruit it can produce. You are part of a community that loves you and desires to see your character shaped and molded by God. And during your time with us, we will support, guide, and challenge you. So welcome to the Rhetoric School. Thank you.
So you guys know me well, right? This is actually kind of sad, because after next year, I don't get to teach you until you take Greek, if you take Greek in 11th grade, which you should, okay? So as Mrs. Carty said, with math, right, you are learning to become more human. Up until this point here at Trinity, a lot of things have happened to you, and really we want you to get on board with what is happening. Like, what are we doing here? So I'm going to read you a definition of classical Christian education that I think will frame this a little bit, especially as we begin talking about languages. Okay, so here's this definition written by one of our faculty. It says, classical Christian education is instruction in the 7 liberal arts aimed at producing mature human beings. We understand humanity to be made in the image of God, created to love the triune God and enjoy Him forever. By rigorous education done out of love for the student, expecting imitation of the teacher and the great masters of the past, students will grow into men and women they were created to become as they encounter reality through language and mathematics. And so you just heard Mrs. Carty talk about encountering reality through mathematics, right? The other part of that is that we encounter reality through language. Sometimes Latin and Greek and other languages are treated as kind of a side route. We're doing this thing over here. Yeah, classical education, and we're learning and maturity, but Latin is an integral part of that, right? Learning a new language, learning to encounter reality in a new way or a different way is integral to helping you to become mature human beings, right? To become those people that God has called you to be. So as you think about languages next year, because next year you get to choose, actually, I'll hand out a flyer later today in which you will get to make a choice about your language track for the coming years, right? For all of the years that you have left at Trinity. As you think about it, right, think about it well. What will help you become the people that God has created you to be, right? Don't think about what is the easiest. Don't think about where my friends are. Right? Think about becoming those people that God has created you to be. As you begin to think about it, a couple things to think about. So Latin, right? You've all been taking Latin up to this point. Your Latin education would just continue if you choose to do Latin too. I would encourage you all to strongly consider it. There are so many reasons, and I'm not going to read them all now. There are so many reasons why Latin is the best. One of the things, though, that I want to say is with your Latin education, you've done most of the grammar. When you go into 9th grade, you have some grammar left, but you're reaching the end of really the grammar stage of Latin. Participles and parts of speech and all of those things, right? All of those, the passives and subjunctives and whatever else, right? All of those fun things that you've been learning about, right? Now you get to move beyond those, and you get to read Virgil, and you get to read Caesar, right? You actually get to read the classical texts that you've heard about, and you'll read them in Latin. And that's a wonderful thing. If you choose to do Latin 1, right? If Latin has been a bit of a struggle for you, we have Latin 1, and that's a good choice too. If you've come to us later in the game, or you've had a bit of struggles with it, then you got to start over, right? And shore up that Latin education. If Spanish is a language at home, we also have Spanish that you can do as well. But again, we'd strongly encourage you, consider Latin. This may be the only time in your life that you have this opportunity. Anywhere you go, you can do Spanish, okay? Think about also, too, in the future, Greek is a whole lot of fun. And if you do Latin, Greek is actually really easy. One of the fun things I teach, I don't know if you guys know, I teach Greek currently. And one of the fun things about teaching Greek to my Latin students is I say, hey, it's kind of like this in Latin. And they say, oh yeah, that makes sense. And then they move on. And so they're not learning new concepts. So those are some things to think about as you continue on. And I'll have a flyer for you later on today. Question? Various faculty. It changes. We can talk more about it later, though. Okay.
Well, good morning. My name is Zach Weckroad. It's my privilege to serve as our upper school humanities chair. And the thing that I think I want to tell you guys today about what to expect from the Rhetoric School is what you should be really good at by the time that you graduate. And one of the goals of the Rhetoric School is to learn rhetoric. What does it mean to learn rhetoric? Well, the two things that I want you to have in mind are learning to use language well and being formed by good language to pursue goodness, truth, and beauty. Learning how to use language well and being formed by good, true, and beautiful language. So this is all predicated on the idea that words make the world. Words make the world. And there's some sense in which you already see that this is true, right? A president tweets and the entire world erupts. Just a few words floating on the internet cause everyone to go crazy for good and for bad. In class, it's easy for your experience of class to become who can incarnate the latest meme in a joke or a conversation and bring whatever it is you're talking about into the form of those dank memes floating around on the internet. Words kind of make your world, and the ability to use those kinds of words becomes your world. Right? An entire nation divides over what a single word means. What does marriage mean? What does it involve? What does it not involve? And this one word divides an entire country. 3 small words, uttered maybe by that special someone, can change your life. Words make the world. God tells us to hide His word in our hearts so that we may have His life within us. His words make a new world for us. So, words change us. God speaks, and out of nothing a world is made. Words are creative. And so one of the things that we want to teach you how to do in Rhetoric School is how to use those words well. And not just use those words well, but be formed by the best words that will make you who you should be. And so that's what you're going to do throughout the next 4 years. You're going to finish the foundation of grammar so that you can learn and access and understand the most beautiful and powerful stories and the striking, visceral language of poetry. You're going to learn how to use words well so that the categories and precise thoughts of philosophy and of Bible can form the way that you approach the world so that you can ask the best questions. One of the greatest questions, do you guys have questions that you like to ask people when you meet them for the first time? Like, if you could have any superpower, what you would be? If you had to replace any body part with a vegetable, what would it be? You know, those kind of things. So one of the best get-to-know-you questions was asked, and you'll read this whenever you are seniors, before you're about to write your senior thesis, before you go and explore Rome and Italy, knowing all the language and the stories. Before you do all that, one of the first things you're going to do is you're going to read this story by Plato called Phaedrus. In the very beginning, Plato is walking out in the countryside, and he meets his friend, Phaedrus, and he says, "Phaedrus, where did you come from, and where are you going?" Where did you come from, and where are you going? Those are the kinds of questions that you need to be able to answer, and that you want to be able to ask and learn and understand others on the basis of. And in order to do so, you need to learn how to use language well. So you'll be formed by philosophy, and you'll practice your skills of grammar and rhetoric, and you'll understand the words of Scripture and let those words become your words. Let those words become your life. And in so doing, you are the kind of people, you become the kind of people who can remake the world to become more good, true, and beautiful because that's who you've become yourself. It's a lofty goal, but it's an exciting goal. It's a challenging goal. I'm very excited for you guys to walk that out through the next 4 years. So now it's my privilege to announce someone else. This is the first time we've ever done this before, but in our annual Rhetoric School Oratory Contest, every single student works to write a speech that is going to, think about this, every rhetoric school writes a speech that is good enough for a bunch of adults to actually pay attention to and listen to. Can you imagine having the undivided attention of a room of hundreds of people because they think what you have to say is important? That's exactly what we want to build in you, the skill of doing, and we get the opportunity today to hear one of those speeches. It's my pleasure to introduce Miss Katie Robertson, who is a junior this year, and she's going to be addressing you guys with her answer to the question, what virtues are most important in the world and which vices are the easiest to cultivate? Which are the virtues that are hardest for us to develop, and what are the vices that are easiest to afflict us in this day and age? So, if you would, please welcome Katie to the stage.
This year, I ran cross country for the first time. I loved everything about it, except the running. We ran through sweltering heat and chilly rain, through mammoth mountains and the concrete suburbia, around cliffs and up hills. The setting sun illuminated the beauty and the brutal. Aching feet, dazzling eyes, inside jokes, unbreakable friendships. 5 months of conflicting pain and joy were enough to make my whole high school experience. Hitting the ground running was never an expression I wished to translate literally. But the gain surmounted the cost. One decision led me toward lifelong friends. Friends who promise to always run for each other so that no one will ever be left behind. Sanctification is a lot like running. It's the process of being formed through fire into the likeness of Christ. Only those who have been justified by Christ's work on the cross are sanctified. But the command, "Be perfect, therefore, as your Father in heaven is perfect," is not achievable by mortals acting alone. It's only by the work of the Holy Spirit in us and communing with the body of Christ that we can fully be transformed. Running is a sport I have the capacity to do alone. Yet, even if I had the willpower to tackle a multiple-mile run, never would I have repeatedly reached the same distances and times I did with the team. The secret to success, I didn't even realize I was doing it. See, when I ran by myself, even midway through the season, my aching feet begged my body to stop. But at practice, cheers and laughter of breathless teammates urged me on. Sometimes runs have to be solo, but when people are willing to sacrifice half an hour of valuable leisure to suffer with you, you take them. Since suffering prevails, find a team that prevails through the suffering. Many American churches portray the process of religion and sanctification as a private affair for God's eyes only. Church history has proven that the individual, including his sanctity, can only be understood through the context of the church. For example, in the weekly liturgy of the Universal Church, sins are confessed aloud by way of a corporate prayer followed by absolution from a priest or pastor. This small act resounds with the church's understanding of the individual, that he is firstly part of a community as Christ's collective bride. He partakes in something much greater than himself. He partakes in something sacred and divine, because he is joined with the martyrs of Christendom and the saints of posterity. Marriage is the image of Christ and his kingdom for a reason. A wise teacher once told my class, if you want to believe you're perfect, don't get married. Living in community with kingdom people lets everyone see the cracks within your facade, but it also lets you see the brokenness behind your neighbor, despite their perfect Instagram stories. When community is embraced, none can hide, not behind a screen, a flimsy excuse, or a sports commitment. Then can sanctity be pursued and captured. By communing with the body of our Savior, he is able to work in us. True community looks like a group of imperfect humans being perfected together through prayer and petition as they seek to serve one another selflessly in love. It's lived out in the grimy works of life. It's in the grace given to a classmate goofing off. It's in the Friday nights spent tutoring peers instead of surfing Netflix. It's in the respect you show your peers, knowing that they are children of God. Martyr theologian Dietrich Bonhoeffer puts it this way in his book on Christian community. My brother's face, that hitherto may have been strange and intolerable to me, has been transformed through intercession into the countenance of a brother for whom Christ died, the face of a forgiven sinner. If we adopt this way of purification, we ask for God to take all of us and hold nothing back from sheer perfection, a terrifying and painful request. But have courage, for this fire is not meant to kill, but to refine. Could I have spent the last 5 months running on my own? Maybe. But would I have? Not for $1 million. So find your cross-country team. Serve them rather than search for them. Be less concerned about the joy you receive than that which you give. Embrace the insanity full-heartedly. Love through the pain and never miss a beat. Don't weary of good work, but pursue it. Be forgiving. Encourage peers in all their successes and support each other no matter how close you may be. Let us run with endurance the race that is set before us, looking to Jesus, the founder and perfecter of our faith. Thank you.
Well done. Thank you, Katie. Well, good morning, 8th grade. Wanted to talk to you a little bit about, in addition to what all our faculty has spoken to you about how the next few years will be mind expanding and they will be encouraging and aspirational for you, that you'll also be aspiring to yet prepare yourself for the next phase of your life, which is preparing for college, which we are dedicated to preparing you for. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about how that works for our students that are presently with us in high school and what that'll mean for you. As Katie said, it's all about a team and being on a team, and you guys will all help each other throughout this process, what sometimes will be a difficult process, but is to refine you for yet the next phase of your life. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about, first of all, one thing that you will be doing in high school is taking the Scholastic Aptitude Test or an ACT test to prepare you for college, and I wanted to talk to you a little bit about your peers around the valley and how that works for them. Here, everybody is on track to go to a four-year university or college so that we're all kind of pulling in the same direction, that we're all dedicated to being on the same journey over the next few years. And I wanted to show you that that's not quite the case around town here. There's only about half of the students at the other high schools in Santa Clarita who are preparing themselves to go on to college. So in and of itself, this being kind of a statistic that's a little discouraging, quite frankly, for some of the other students in our valley. For us here at Trinity and for you as you move into the Rhetoric School, it's going to be an endeavor that you're all involved in. They're all pushing towards the same goal, which creates a very different environment than other schools. And we're very encouraged for you to be able to achieve at a high level and master and show colleges and universities just how prepared you are to attend. So that's just a little bit about, everybody will be doing that as they move through, and want to tell you a little bit about how our students are achieving. So the SAT is now on back to a score of 1,600, being a perfect score, and I want to show you a little bit about what our average is for the last class that we have here right now that's preparing to leave. And you can see kind of some of the other scores around town, and again, this is a testament to the fact that our Rhetoric School will prepare you well for the next phase of your education. So as you can see, we score a little bit higher than everybody around town. And again, this is going to help create more options for you as you continue on to college and university about which colleges and universities you might want to apply to. You know, the kind of education that we offer here at Trinity and that you'll be partaking in as you move forward, really to see another similar kind of outcomes, you really have to move outside of our valley, because as a college preparatory school, in addition to being a classical Christian school, we are also a college preparatory school dedicated to preparing you for college. That you can see we have to move sort of out of our valley to find other schools that are putting students in the same colleges and universities based on their academic achievement, their standardized test scores, their GPA. You can see some of the schools that are outside in the Pasadena area, down in the valley, and that kind of thing. You can kind of see where we fall in there. Now, I always like to point out that the Westridge School up in Pasadena was founded in 1913. So I think they have like 86 years ahead of us. So we have some time to catch up to them. So we're making good progress. But I kind of wanted to show you where we kind of fall in some of the more elite private schools around the Los Angeles area. And as 8th graders, you're thinking, well, what might some of those scores, or where might I aspire to, or where might my dream college, where might those scores and GPAs place me? I just want to show you some of the scores that have been received by our students up there of the last year, about year and a half. Those 19 students which have scored over 1,400, and some of the colleges they're considering, even now. As you know, our seniors right now are receiving their applications and their acceptances back even as we speak. Every day we get a couple more, and so those seniors are figuring out where they're going to be attending. But those are some of the schools that are possible. We really talk a lot about here, especially when we talk to new parents considering Trinity, that we want our students to have opportunities. They want to have the whole array of opportunities available to them. And so I'm curious as to, have a lot of you have interest in a particular college already? You can raise your hands. Or you're already kind of thinking about a certain one, so like this kind of? Good. Well, the earlier in the process, you can start talking with Mrs. Bacon, who will present next, and our faculty is to start to prepare you for that next phase of your life. And the next semester's grades begin to start to prepare you for those. Those, as you're a freshman, those will start to count towards college acceptance. So we'll just take a quick look at some of our past graduating classes and where they've gone, there we go. So right now we're about to graduate our 8th graduating class. I don't know, some of you might not realize that this is our 8th graduating class. Each one of them has been accepted to 4-year colleges, and each one has received Academic Merit Scholarship Award money, meaning just based on your standardized test score and your GPA, colleges would like to offer you a generous award, financial award, to come to their school. So even now, our students are accepting their merit scholarships right now. And you can see how many applications have been submitted by our previous 8 classes and how many acceptances have been coming in, and that number is changing every day. And for the parents, over the years, we've had $31 million of scholarship award money, and that's just what's considered first look money, which is just as for GPA, standardized testing, that's not other scholarships that can be garnered after that. That's just your initial award. And our past class, this is last year's class, our 47 graduates who are out to college. Now you can see how many applications were submitted and a tremendous percentage of acceptances considering how many applications are submitted. And I think we have over 252 acceptances from colleges all over the country. So just about every college that you might be interested in, we either now have a bit of a relationship with or we're very aware of what their admission standards are. These are just a few of the acceptances from the last 2 years. So if there's a place that you're dreaming to go to or that you really feel like would be a great fit for you, we can certainly talk to you about that. And to that end, Mrs. Bacon is going to talk a little bit more about college and what we can do to prepare ourselves for college. So thank you.
All right. Good morning. I'll be my helper. Okay, so you already heard a little bit about college. So I'm just going to give you a quick quiz. Okay, you ready? You all awake? Okay. When do you become a college applicant? You got to stand up here. You got to throw the candy to them. Okay, go ahead. Junior year. You can throw him a candy, even though he's wrong. Okay, who else? When do you become a college applicant? Senior year. Get on my candy. Anybody else? Okay, right in the middle. Miss 9th grade. Yes, we have a winner. All right, so you become a college applicant as soon as you start rhetoric school. 9th grade, all of your grades go on your transcript that you're going to submit when you apply to colleges. So as soon as you start 9th grade, what are you going to do? Get good grades, right? Okay, my next question. What are the 3 most important parts of your college application? I just gave you one. That was easy. How about you can choose? Your resume. That's pretty much, so extracurriculars that would go on your resume, right? What's the other one? Grades, yes. One more. Get one in the back, see how far you can throw. SAT, yeah, so SAT or ACT. So out of those 3 things, next year you're going to work on your grades, right? And your extracurriculars, so get involved in something, whether that's sports, music, community service, doesn't matter what you do, just start thinking about what you're interested in, okay? Okay, those are for you. Okay, so the other thing is visit colleges. So if you're around colleges, just stop by and visit. Start thinking about what interests you. You don't need to stress about college yet. Just kind of start exploring. And when the reps are here, try to come in and just listen to what they have to say. We use a program called College Planner Pro. So it has like research tools in there, and I do communication, to-do lists. So you don't need to worry. You're going to have all the information that you need. Any questions, you can always come and see me or email me. I think that's probably the most important thing for you to know is I'm here to answer your questions anytime. So anytime, I will say after if parents have any questions. Okay, so not to worry, okay, no stress. We're going to move on to college credit just to let you know what's ahead. I know you've all heard a little bit about dual credit. Just gives you an opportunity to earn college credit for classes that you're already doing at Trinity. So you don't have to do anything extra except for go onto the college site and sign up for it. There's a fee to do that. Most of them are $200. And in comparison, those same classes on the college, at the college, like Colorado Christian or Masters, those same classes are about $1,800. So it's a huge savings for you. Also to remember, there's nothing to worry about in 9th grade. There's no dual credit classes in 9th grade. So you don't have to worry about that. And these classes are being accepted. It's been a really good turnout. So most of the schools that the students have gone to have taken their credits. So a lot of them are going in with a full year of credit. Gives you a lot of opportunities to pick up a minor, double major, play a sport. Gives you a lot of great opportunities. Those are the numbers for last year. You can see most of the students did dual credit. And you can see 16 of the students did 40 credits. So to put that in perspective, most students do 12 to 19 credits per semester. So that's basically a year's worth of credit. So it gives you a lot of opportunities, and you save a lot of money. You guys don't care about that, but they do. So, okay, this is a list of most of the classes. We had 23 of them this year. And then also the AP classes is another way to earn college credit. So this doesn't affect you next year. Most of these are 11th and 12th grade, which makes sense because they're college level classes, right? There's one in 10th grade, but nothing to worry about right now. So most thing for you to worry about is come and see me if you have questions anytime. Stop by or email me, okay? You guys good? Okay. Thank you.
Well, good morning, soon-to-be ninth graders. This is, I think, the largest class. It feels like it's the largest class. You're going all the way to the back. I'm here to give you a brief overview of the fine arts that are coming up in Rhetoric School. And I loved what Mr. Whitebroad said about the question, where have you come from and where are you going? And I think that's pertinent to your whole experience here at Trinity, but I was thinking out of it in fine arts context. And what I was thinking about was, where have you come from? Well, if you've been at Trinity all these years, you've had a comprehensive musical and arts training. How many of you remember Miracle on Main Street? Anybody? Miracle on Main Street? Yes, that was your show. Do you remember this a couple years ago? Okay. How many of you are in a fine arts group now? I recognize all of you. You're in orchestra or you're in jazz band. A couple of you are in jazz band, even though that's a rhetoric elective. Okay? How many of you are taking lessons, anything having to do with music or art, any enrichments? All right? Well, what's going to be coming up for your electives in Rhetoric School are these. Now, there are some fine arts electives and there are some non-fine arts electives. And if you're having the conversation about college, you are going to want fine arts electives because your transcript being well-rounded, just as we're looking for our well-rounded students, is going to be much more attractive than somebody who does one thing really well. Even if you're a master at that one thing, you're going to want more variety on your transcripts. So you can see the electives that are here. At the bottom of this, you'll see it says AP Computer Science and AP Music Theory. These are AP courses that I've separated from electives because they're not offered during the elective time, they're offered during third period. They're also not offered for you. They're going to be more for seniors and possibly juniors and seniors starting next year. Then we have our Fine Arts Conservatory. Some of you are already involved in taking lessons. A lot of what you're going to see in the next two slides has to do with people who are younger than you, but we are offering lessons for strings, woodwind, and brass, percussion, and next year we're going to add voice to our offerings for lessons, and that goes for you, that goes for everybody at the school where you can take private lessons, be part of ensembles, and then also there are these other offerings that are after school as well. Then on the next slide, we have our non-fine arts enrichments that I want to make you aware of that are still available. You can look through this list. Your eyes are quick, so you can see all the things that we offer outside of fine arts. And then finally, we've had several students who have gotten scholarships and are pursuing a career in fine arts, including handbells, and you can see film that we have there. So we have several students that are taking that path, and I'm hoping that this class, because I know a lot of you are artists in some form or another, are also going to take that path as well. So that gives you a little overview of fine arts, and now we're going to have Dr. Dixon come up for athletics. Thank you.
All right, well, we talked a lot about the discipline of our minds, right, in our academic classes and how we discipline our minds. With Mr. Brown, in music, we talk about how we discipline our souls, right? How music shapes us, but then also to be a well-rounded person, we talk about the discipline for athletics of our bodies, right? How do we control our bodies? And that is an essential part of classical education, really of any education, but specifically an importance of classical education. So here, I'm going to talk just very briefly, because parents, immediately after this, we have a little session called What to Expect from Varsity Athletics. And in that, I'm going to go into much more detail because for you, the way that we do our physical education requirement and our credit is that you participate in our varsity athletics program for Rhetoric School. So that's something that on some level, all of you get to participate in and all of you get to be a part of. So before we continue in that and before I get into any more detail, who can tell me our athletics philosophy? Does anyone know? 3 words, okay? At least one of the words. Integrity, okay, does someone else know? Owen, do you know the rest of it? Camaraderie and victory? Okay, good job. Thank you, guys. Thank you. And so, oh, so close. That was left-handed. Okay, that's my excuse. We'll talk again in more detail. What does that mean? Those are 3 words that sound nice together, but what does that actually mean for us to pursue something with integrity, camaraderie, and victory. So parents, I hope that you'll stick around. I hope that you'll hear a little bit more about our athletics program, and we'll be giving some announcements and some other details as it relates to that. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to the students. Okay, the students. Yes.
Come up. Hey. All right, so this is the part, besides Katie, I mean, I know we love our faculty and our directors, but I also know more than anything else, you love your peers. So along with Katie, this is probably going to be your favorite part. So we're going to do a little Q&A. I'm going to ask them some questions, and I'll come down there, and then you get to ask them some questions. So to start, we have Michael Boulos, who is one of the Dante House captains, Rachel Rackerby, who is one of the Boethius House captains, and Andrew Deaver, who is one of the Cincinnati's house captains. Each house, there's 4 houses. Each house has two captains and some other leadership support. We just grabbed them for this morning. So why don't we start with asking the question, is you probably want to know a little bit, maybe one of you can tell us a little bit about the house system, what its benefits are, why should they be excited about it, what's the most fun part of it, those kind of things.
When I came to Trinity, I had attended a different school at first. I came my freshman year, and so I didn't really know anybody. And so I think the house system is really a place where I got to connect with people not only from my own grade, but from other grades as well. You get to make friends with not only your fellow freshmen, but sophomores, juniors, and seniors who I never thought I would talk to for any other reason. That also happens in athletics as well. You get to have teammates who are in different grades, but especially in the house system, I got to learn from and befriend people who otherwise I wouldn't be talking to.
I think that the most fun about being in houses is the first week of school we go to camp. My class actually has been to like 3 different camps, but it's been so much fun, especially like the cabin times with your leader. That is the best part about it. And I've been here since kindergarten, and it has been my dream to be a captain. So I think that's definitely such a great benefit. And also on college apps, you can put student body president. So it's also just like a great opportunity to meet people as well.
So I'm a little curious, how many of you have been here since kindergarten? Okay, wow, that's a lot. Yeah, so Rachel and I have been here since kindergarten. How many of you came in grammar school at some point? That's most. And how many of you came in logic school? Awesome. So if you've, come at any of those points, you've probably witnessed the house system. You've seen us playing games out there. You've heard about what the latest point totals are, all that. So it's a really fun, competitive nature, having, as Michael spoke to, the camaraderie of the house, being able to bond with people from all the grades and have that common shared experience. As well, I'm not sure exactly how it works now, but when we were in logic school, you had all your classes with your team, right? Is that still how it works? Yeah, so that doesn't work the same in Rhetoric school. You don't have any classes with all your house, except for we have house meetings monthly. But so you'll be all mixed in, you'll all be friends with your other friends, but it'll be, normally once a month we'll do some sort of games, or you do Spirit Week, all that kind of fun competitive stuff to with your house competing against other houses. So yeah, any questions about the house system? Or just general? Go ahead. So the question was, do you only have the option of being a house captain when you're a senior? The answer is yes. So all house captains are seniors. You apply at the end of your junior year. And so normally it's you get recommendations, you fill out an essay, and you get interviewed. And so there's multiple people that will apply their junior year, and then they get selected by Mr. Macedo, Mr. Lee, and others to be a house captain in the senior year.
So there's a lot of other leadership roles within the houses. We have sophomore reps, we have junior reps, and then also you have 2 senior captains, but you also have a senior lieutenant as well. So there's so much going on. You can definitely help out in any way, and we always encourage anybody who's in the house to just help as much as they can. Yeah.
Say it again.
Oh, I don't.
I'm guessing this is mine. Good question. So if you're a sibling, you already know what house you're in. So raise your hand if you know what house you're in because you're a sibling. Okay, so you guys already know. All the rest of you, we just spread you around. It's a surprise. We look. It's kind of maybe it's a hat, but we do try to mix up so we have same equal amount of girls and guys and students that are in a variety of different activities. So we have those spread out, and it's just a new opportunity. It's just super exciting, and you find out if you don't know what house you're in, you actually will hear it live. At 8th grade promotion. Nobody hears it before then. When you cross the stage at 8th grade promotion, your house will actually be identified. And the new house captains will be there to greet you.
Other questions?
So I would say it is not much of a difference, such a change from grammar school to logic school. So that was like a huge change, right? You're going to block schedule, teams, like it's completely different. Logic school to rhetoric school is definitely a closer transition, but it is different. So, we already talked about the house system. That's obviously different. It's slightly different than the teams. You are expected more. More is expected of you. You are more responsibility will be placed upon you. You will be expected to, work harder in your classes. You're going to be attending classes that are more difficult. You have more choice and you have more freedom with what classes you choose. And as you develop into seniors who will be graduating and going to college, developing who you are and what you want to do with your life. And so that's definitely a change. Also sports, so that's another big thing. It's way different from logic school where it's like maybe 2-3 practices a week to now it's a full-time commitment. Many sports are practicing 5 days a week, games on the weekends. So practicing off season. So it's that's a major commitment. Yeah, so it's definitely manageable. You can always, I'm a prime example of trying to do everything. When I was in grammar school, logic school, I like to do everything: music, sports, extracurriculars. I was in chess club at one point. I just love to do everything. And so, you learn when you get to rhetoric school how to manage those things, how to compartmentalize and get your homework done on time, and so it's definitely something that you can work towards, but it's absolutely manageable. But you're expected to work towards that. It's not going to just come easy anymore. So.
Yeah, so I have been a competitive swimmer since I was 6 years old. So I swam for Canyons Aquatic Club. So that was my life. So I was training like 5 hours a day, every single day. So for me, it really made me have to be responsible. There was no slacking. So especially with high school, there's no room for slacking. But I think that was such an incredible thing because it's taught me so many skills, like so many studying skills, how to manage my time wisely. And I think that's really important. And then I quit swimming, and I still swim for Trinity. And so swimming has always been my life. And I think being able to learn how to manage time wisely is really important.
During high school, I picked up a lot of stuff that I never thought I would be doing. That includes cross country. I remember elementary school, middle school. I was stunningly slow, but then many of the things you heard from Katie in her speech are really, really true. Joining a new sport, especially something really strenuous like cross country, man, I learned so much, and the runs were hard, but I wouldn't give them back for the world. Like, I'm completely different as a result of trying something I never would have tried before, because the team was so welcoming. All my friends who were on cross country, they told me, just join, you'll have a great time. I was kind of afraid at first, but then, man, I was in after a few weeks, even though my legs hurt. And then also, I picked up baseball too, which I also had never done in my life, and I'm having a great time doing baseball. Season's going right now. Man, that's a lot of fun. Also music. I wasn't great at music, but now I'm in the choral ensemble elective. I don't have an angelic voice or anything, but I'm learning. It's awesome. And also orchestra.
Yeah, so I would say I'm somewhere in between Rachel and Michael. I haven't done anything competitively since I was 6 years old or anything, and throughout elementary and junior high, I did sports here and there and was relatively athletic. But something I love about Trinity is, although we compete at a high level in all our sports, it's very easy to join it for the first time and learn. It's not it's not like tryouts where you could get cut from the team, or even if we have like a varsity and JV, you still have the opportunity to play whatever level you're at, and they will help develop you and get you better. So I played football and soccer throughout high school, and I also was involved in orchestra, jazz band, and I helped start a couple clubs here, the FCA club and Socratic club we just started this year with Michael. So there's like numerous opportunities, but I never played tackle football before my freshman year, and similar to Michael, that football taught me so much, and I know that's a similar experience for all sports, where you just have that camaraderie and what the life lessons it teaches you and how to work hard through suffering in the moment. I was involved in a lot. I did a lot of different things, and you're still able to manage that and succeed.
Well, actually, when it came for college decisions, at first I wanted to go to a huge school. I wanted to go to University of Arizona, and then George Fox University is a private Christian school up in Oregon, and it's really similar to Trinity. And at first I was like, no way. And then I think something just clicked in me, and I was like, I actually do love this environment. I know, like, at the school that I'm choosing, there's a week of spiritual emphasis week, which is like, that's home, the class sizes are the same as here. So I think when it comes to like college decision, I think it's really important to choose a place that you feel like is home. And for me, Trinity's been home for 13 years. So I think that's probably, I kind of have it easy because Trinity is kind of coming with me. I think definitely with that decision making, you need to choose a place where spiritually you're challenged and academically you're challenged as well.
I think I'm probably going to miss the fact that I could talk to just about anybody about really deep, important ideas that we discuss throughout high school, in the books we read, the poetry we read. Even in science classes, you would not expect to get philosophy or expand your mind in that way, but you do. And I think I'm really going to miss just being able to start a conversation with a teacher, start a conversation with the many friends who I made just because of ideas like those. I sure hope at the university level I can maintain the relationship, the type of relationship that I got to have with people in the Trinity environment.
So I know it sounds cliche, but I will miss the environment at Trinity so much. And between the teachers, that they care so much for you, the education you are getting, what you are going to be learning is so valuable. And I hope and pray that you guys realize what type of blessing you guys are getting in starting this journey. And it's really come to my mind these past 2 years, really just, what type of education you are getting is so rare. It is so special. between classical and the Christian traditions that are being embedded in you. And I hope you guys realize that. I hope you guys take advantage of that in these next 4 years, because it will change you. It will change who you are. It will develop you, as Mr. Whitebrook was saying. I'm sure other teachers were saying that, they are embedding in you these core values that will stay with you for the rest of your life. And, as Michael said, just the approachability of all the teachers, that you are able to talk to them and connect with them on a deep level and with your classmates. So you should all turn and thank your parents for allowing you to be at this place, because it is truly a blessing to be here. So.
Good morning. It is my honor and privilege, I know. It's a long series of people talking to you. So mostly, we're going to show you some pictures, and we're going to talk about pasta and pizza and cheese and bread. People leave the room. I understand. It's hard. No, it's my joy, my privilege to talk to you about the capstone event of what comes from Rhetoric School. Those three in 9 days are going with me and Dr. Horner and Mrs. Macedo. No, not Miss. No, I'm sorry. Mrs. Caddo, Mrs. Cardi, Mr. Culp, and Mrs. Gentry. We're going to Italy. We're going to Florence, and we're going to walk around, and we're going to go stand outside of Dante's house. Dante, pretty important dude. You'll learn more about him later, but he's also one of the namesakes of our houses. We're going to go to where the Italians, who are the great-grandchildren, Florence was settled when Julius Caesar gave land to a bunch of his soldiers. That's where Florence came from. And it's been there ever since. And so we're going to go to there, and we're going to talk about the stories of how people died. They were thrown out of towers, and it was fun for historians, less for them. We're going to go on awesome hikes. We're going to go look and swim in the Mediterranean. We're going to go right down into the Roman lake, as it was called, the Mediterranean. They're going to get to swim where Aeneas swam, swim where Odysseus swam. They're going to be wandering around the hills of Italy. This trip, we have tried to make it as awesome as possible while also being as affordable as possible. Awesome means safe. Awesome means predictable. Awesome means we know where you're going and how you're going to stay and what it's going to look like. So you get to stay in these great hotels that are about 2 blocks away from Michelangelo's David, a 5-minute walk away from the Duomo, the engineering marvel of the 16th century that still inspires every dome you ever see, the U.S. Capitol dome, the dome at St. Paul's in London, etc. It's one of the greatest engineering feats, and we're going to go right up inside of it. They're very excited. I've been telling them since they were freshmen about this trip, and now they're 9 days away. How to do that and do it well with all of you, because we want as many of you as possible to come on this trip 4 years from now, and I know it feels like that's a long time. Ask them. They were a little older than you are right now, when I told them, I'm going to take you to Italy in 4 years. And they're like, but that's forever. Was it forever? No, it went really quick, kind of faster than you thought it could happen. And here they are. It will be you before you know it. Some of you will be captains up here talking to 8th graders who are getting ready to be freshmen, and you'll be like, oh man, I remember when Mr. Lee told us that. Yes. So the trip, parents also, you can hear, the trip has been priced out to be approximately $2,800 for the week. That includes airfare, that includes where they stay, that includes all of the entrances to all of the museums. Myself and Dr. Horner, we lead the tours. We talk to them about who the artists were that they're looking at. We go through some of the greatest art galleries in the world. We've gone to Rome, we've done Florence, hatching ideas for Venice, we'll see. But we go to the coast and we walk along the Mediterranean, and everywhere that they are going, they're experiencing one of the greatest joys and one of the oldest traditions of education, which is to put the actual physical context of the lessons that they've learned into their own hands. They actually get to stand where Julius Caesar was assassinated. They get to see the places
that they read about, and they become real. Time and space become thin because this man stood there and did this thing, and you're standing there right there too. How to do that? Well, we did do fundraisers. We're going to be doing away with fundraisers now. So in years past, I would come up and tell you how we're going to try and get our fundraisers going. One of the evaluations that we had about our fundraising system was that ultimately it did not produce enough money to make the time and the energy worth it. So we're shifting more to a suggestion for how to save and a guide for either saving and or getting a job yourselves, guys. I know that sounds crazy, but consider this. The actual fundraisers, you'd spend 14 hours on any given fundraiser, at least, working for me, and at the end of it, you might get about $300 towards your trip. The minimum wage in California is $11. If you wanted to come do yard work for me, you could say, I will do yard work for an hour for $10 for that hour. First of all, because it's from me, you probably, can I say this? You won't probably pay taxes on that. But secondly, more importantly, you do that just a couple of times. $10 an hour, right? At the end of 14 hours, 2 or 3 times, you're going to have considerably more than the $300 you might get as a result of your work for a fundraiser. In fact, if you work at it consistently, I think we did, so the first way is you save. You save about $60 to $65 a month starting now, and you will have your trip paid for by the time when you're a senior. Your trip is done. You won't even have to worry about it. If you're worried about spending money, that's where I take the next step and say, be creative and offer your services to people in your community and around. They are looking for people who are faithful and willing to work and are not going to ask them to pay $18, $20, $30 an hour, but I could clean up your yard for $10 for an hour. Wonderful. Let's do that every week for the year. How much would $10 every week for the year get you? How many weeks are there in a year? So times 10 is what? 52 times 10 is what? So it's roughly $500 a year. So if you do $500 a year, in 4 years, how much will you have? I know, it's not good. And I'm the history teacher, okay? Now, does that immediately obviously cover everything that you have to worry about? No, you have to do a little bit more than just 1 hour a week. But if you do something like that on a regular basis, get a small circuit, clean your neighbor's yard, say, just throw me $10, you're going to find that this trip pays for itself. You'll have money to go get awesome leather jackets. You can get leather pants, a leather hat, leather glasses. You can get all, because Florence has the best leather markets in the world. They're famous for it. You can go buy all the cheese. Bring home pounds of cheese. Just give it to your parents and say, here, mangia, because this is how we do in Italy, right? And then your parents will say, what happened? And you'll say, I traveled, mama. Instead of being 1 out of 42, you get 100% of your profit. You get to save 100% for yourself. And that's really the key here, is moving towards the freedom of capitalism. I've been told multiple times our fundraisers are a little socialist in nature. Happily, capitalism is here to save the day. Work for yourself. And we're not doing the fundraiser. Instead, we're encouraging you to take ownership of your own saving and just say, this is actually a much straighter line from A to B. You're going to get there and be happier. So, any questions about that? Awesome. Everybody gets it.
I'm so impressed by your slides. Did you create slides? Very impressive slides. Yay. So, 8th grade, are you excited for Rhetoric School? We have extra donuts. Are you excited for Rhetoric School?